In this video I will show you the best games for the PSP emulator on Android or Ppsspp, so leave a like and subscribe if you are not already subscribed, and let's move on to the first game in the video. This is one of the most popular games on Ppsspp PSP till date, with more than 5 million downloads yearly. This is a story of Greek mythology. As a player you take the role of Kratos and start playing through the storylines that rolls on your screen. In the Chains of Olympus franchise, you will need to defeat your enemies with a double-edged chain sword, pass through the dark ancient buildings full of horror scenes, swim in different rivers to cross to other lands of enemies. The game also provides on-screen instruction to guide you in different stages. While not the first Metal Gear Solid game on the PSP, the two Metal Gear Acid titles preceded it. Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops adopted a more traditional action format, inspired by the control scheme in the Subsistence edition of Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. The big twist was the Comrade system, allowing you to recruit team members and specialists for a variety of circumstances, and then toggle between them out on the field. This concept would later be developed by subsequent sequels like Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. A standalone expansion, Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops Plus, released a year later. Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories VCS isn't the first portable GTA spin-off, but it's the most polished of its kind in the PSP roster. A prequel to PS2's Grand Theft Auto Vice City, VCS pushes the PSP in all the right places to bring the Grand Theft Auto world to life in ways that seem impossible for the technologically limited PSP. This was thanks in part to a new game engine, resulting in a cleaner, more visually arresting handheld Grand Theft Auto. Even in the post-GTA Online world, it stands as a technical and creative achievement. LittleBigPlanet was already a technical achievement on PS3, but squeezing all of that play-create sheer goodness onto a UMD? Sony's Cambridge studio pulled it off brilliantly, with a portable entry that offered the full-fat console experience. An original campaign of levels takes you through another adventure with Sackboy before jumping into a fully featured level editor. While it was understandably a little pared back, the Create mode still afforded players lots of opportunity to unleash their imagination and share it with the community. An impressive conversion of a fan-favorite franchise. Are you a fan of the movie Ghost Rider with similar storyline? The game is all about someone who transforms into a flaming skeleton in the night when the moon is out and then possessed other fellow human beings. In turn, he has the ability to control them. So get ready to play the hack and slash game on your PSP emulator and device. Burnout Legends, as the name eloquently implies, is something of a greatest hits for Criterion's Crash Happy console series. Featuring content from all three PS2 installments, this slimmed-down racer really excelled on the PSP thanks its supercharged hardware. The Nintendo DS version was a less successful adaptation by comparison. Featuring a mixture of races, time attacks, car chases, and the infamous crash mode from Burnout 2, Point of Impact, this was a faithful continuation of an extremely popular franchise, converted impressively to Sony's handheld console. Travel back to 2005, and Rockstar had recently dropped 3 industry-changing GTA games. Back then, the idea of playing a fully realized open-world GTA on a handheld device was a pipe dream, until Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. It brought us back to the moment and feeling that made GTA such an iconic franchise in the PS2 era, complete with an all-new story and missions, in a prequel to GTA 3. Sony assembled a Hall of Fame launch lineup for the PSP, and WipEout Pure was one of the crown jewels. After an awkward PS2 generation which had seen the iconic PS1 racer lose a little of its immaculate sheen, this was a return to form for the franchise, which felt perfectly aligned with Sony's slick, futuristic handheld format. In addition to lightning-fast combat racing, the release also introduced some brand new features, like the precision-based zone mode, which saw you whipping around vibrant courses at increasing speeds, attempting not to touch the walls. The title even took advantage of some of the PSP's more unique innovations, allowing fellow console owners to download a trial version of the title and engage in multiplayer races, without even owning a copy of the game. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep would have been easy to turn into a quick cash-in, a portable Kingdom Hearts to milk fans perpetually waiting for a proper sequel. Instead, Square made one of the most important games in the series, filling out the Strange Worlds lore with the same level of care and ambition as other titles in the series such as the epic Kingdom Hearts 2. Long before Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, this was the closest thing everyone thought we would get to a third full game. Heroes Terra, Aqua, and Ventus make for a disorienting shift from Sora, but the game's command deck and dealing combat mechanics help to keep the adventure moving with fast, fluid, and surprisingly deep enemy encounters. It only takes a few visits to familiar Disney locales to ease back into the Kingdom Hearts vibe. Altair assassinated Templar leaders of the Holy Land since 1 month ago. Another Templar leader is around who he will be facing as his new enemy. His name is Armand Bouchard. He has to travel through Cyprus to hunt down the Templar leader and others to stop their bad schemes. Bloodlines is the first PSP game which tells the story of Altair tracking down the last Templars who fled the Holy Land. What's amazing about this PSP adaptation of the PS2's Persona 3 is how fresh and different it feels in the transition to handheld. In optimizing the overworld for quick and easy exploration and shifting the main character's perspective from male to female, the overall tone of the story has changed, giving even old fans something new to latch onto. Impactful tweaks like these make the PSP version of this JRPG worthy of attention, but its biggest strength is the unchanged dungeon crawling that's peerless in the RPG canon. The only thing that matches it is Persona 4 Golden on PS Vita. And with the remake Persona 3 Reload in 2024, the legacy lives on. This game is all about the story of a young hero, Ramza Beulf, where he struggled to protect his beloved ones from the evil Lucavi, and it takes place around the War of the Lion's time, a conflict that started due to the death of King Andoria, Lord of Ivalice. Ready at Dawn and SCE Santa Monica Studio captured Zeus Lightning in a bottle when they crammed the God of War series into Sony's handheld. God of War, Chains of Olympus was an impressive achievement, but Ghost of Sparta surpassed it with an adventure that is slick and gorgeous. Following Kratos' search for his brother Deimos, Ghost of Sparta is essential for followers of the series canon. And while it doesn't rise to the same scale as its console siblings, it comes damn close while showing off a few new moves along the way. By the time you plumb the depths of Atlantis, swim the River of Lament, and tear a swath through the Domain of Death, you'll feel as if you've survived an authentic Greek myth. When veteran hunters regale you with tales from the claw-grip nightmares of days past, this is probably the game that they're thinking of. As a sort of definitive edition of Monster Hunter 2, Unite gave players a chance to experience thrilling new hunts against now iconic monsters like Nargacuga and Eucanlos. Ben Studio was, along with Zipper Interactive, the master of the PSP third-person shooter. While the handheld didn't naturally lend itself to such action-packed games, it lacked a second analog stick to start with. Syphon Filter, Dark Mirror was enormously entertaining, and a return to form for a franchise which had gone a little off-kilter with the experimental PS2 exclusive Syphon Filter, the Omega Strain. A globetrotting escapade, taking you all around the world, from Peru to Finland. Dark Mirror also featured innovative 8-player multiplayer modes, including the fantastically fun Rogue Agent, where players compete to become and kill the titular super agent in a deathmatch-style alternative. Roam anywhere around the city and explore the most massive, detailed New York City ever seen in a Spider-Man game. Battle 10 of Spider-Man's most infamous enemies from the movie and comics, including Sandman and Venom. All-new combat system, empower both Spider-Men with suit-specific powers and abilities. With new attacks and finishers for both classic and black-suited Spider-Man platform. Size doesn't matter, but we suppose that was the joke. Ratchet and Clank, Size Matters was the first handheld installment in Insomniac Games' action platformer franchise, although development duties were led by High Voltage Games. Despite later being ported to the PS2, the gameplay felt right at home on Sony's portable platform, sticking closely to the blueprints established by the main console games. That means plenty of explosive armaments, including some returning favorites like the Hypershot and RYNO. Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII returns fans to one of the most iconic gaming realms in a way that feels right on a handheld platform. There's still plenty of opportunities to kick around with Zack and other FF7 familiars, but the short burst missions do away with time-consuming RPG tropes and let you hack away at the meaty adventure at your own pace. Even the slot machine feature, memorably dubbed Digital Mind Wave, keeps the action humming and injects a sense of luck and surprise into every encounter. It may operate differently than what we were used to, but Crisis Core keeps the FF7 components intact while delivering a fresh spin on a classic tale. This was one of the first big projects by Hajime Tabata, who went on to direct the big series with Final Fantasy XV. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion has also brought the PSP gem into the modern era. It is one of the most explosive fighting games to the PSP platform. New characters Lily and Dragunov join the best group of cast such as Jeanne, Heihachi, Paul and Law in the battle to be crowned king of the Iron Fist tournament. The new intro movie lets you dive into the midst of the world of Tekken, this time with ad hoc multiplayer mode to fight against friends as well as more items to customize your favorite characters. Now you can fight anytime, anywhere. There was fear this portable sequel to PS3's Valkyria Chronicles would rob the series of its breadth and depth, but Sega handles the transition like a champ. Valkyria Chronicles 2 picks up Avon Harden's story without missing a step, setting you on a path through the Lanceal Royal Military Academy that will see you navigating conflicts both on and off the battlefield that feel just as complex and satisfying as before. After spending countless hours managing troops, customizing vehicles, and perfecting your strategy in the war for Gallia, it'll become clear that this handheld Valkyria Chronicles entry can hold its own. For the fourth time in 2010, Ubisoft released the Forgotten Sands game into the market apart from the earlier series called Sands of Time Universe, which is set between the first two games in the trilogy and coinciding with the release of Sands of Time's movie. Nippon Ichi Software's Disgaea series is one of the greatest and longest-running tactical RPGs in gaming. Afternoon of Darkness was the PSP port of the PS2 version, revolving around Laharl trying to reclaim his late father's throne of the Netherworld after rival demons fight for power. Disgaea, Afternoon of Darkness is well received for its unapologetically comedic and immature story set against a backdrop that manages to make its demonic dark fantasy setting charming. Similarly, the game is packed with content to keep players immersed for dozens of hours, bolstered by a tactical combat system that's equal parts challenging and nuanced. Other JRPGs on PSP, like Persona, understandably get the most attention for the subgenre, but Afternoon of Darkness is a solid example of how the subgenre lends itself equally well to the tactical RPG subgenre. The classical turn-based approach makes it a seamless transition to this gameplay style, with its astonishingly complex and rewarding strategic elements earning its place among its contemporaries as one of the greatest JRPGs the PSP has to offer. After his father's murder, Huang Li has a simple mission: deliver an ancient sword to his uncle Kenny to ensure his family retains control of the Triad gangs of Liberty City. Huang is a spoiled rich kid who expects everything to run smoothly, but his trip does not go exactly as planned. After being robbed and left to die, he will search for honor, riches, and revenge in the most dangerous and morally bankrupt city in the world. Metal Gear Solid: Peace Walker captures the blockbuster feel of its console comrades in a way that make us wonder if Hideo Kojima secretly upgraded our PSPs. The insane plot, mounds of bonus content, and the obsessive army building later used in Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain keeps you wrapped the entire 30-hour runtime. Yes, 30! The action mixes classic Snake-ass kickery with deep squad management that sees you tweaking the ins and outs of Mother Base while training militaires sans frontières for deployment in missions. Combined with the multiplayer co-ops and versus ops modes, these elements make Peace Walker feel like it's about to burst out of its UMD at any moment. But then, Snake is never one for staying within bounds to begin with. A spin-off of Naughty Dog's Jak and Daxter series, Daxter focuses on the titular Ottsel and his ventures shortly before the events of Jak 2. True to the Jak and Daxter formula before it, Daxter is a platformer that recaptures the charm and cleverness of the first game. While Daxter is smaller than Jak, Ready at Dawn smartly makes Daxter a worthy platforming protagonist who is not only smaller but a bit more agile than his best friend. Once upon a time, a PlayStation console simply couldn't launch without a Ridge Racer game, and the PSP was no exception. Ridge Racer was the quintessential launch game in a pretty strong field. Its bit-sized gameplay, vibrant graphics, and thumping soundtrack all excelled on Sony's handheld hardware. The title even featured a fully playable version of Namco's 1981 arcade classic New Rally X while the UMD was loading, as well as local and online multiplayer for up to 8 players. Why Level 5 felt obliged to rewrite Joan of Arc's history instead of creating a French heroine of their own is beyond us. But no matter, because this magical, demon-fighting version of the historical figure does a fine job of leading one of the deepest and most creative tactical role-playing game on the system. Like Tactics Ogre and Final Fantasy Tactics, Jeanne Dark sees players taking on battles throughout an overworld map, collecting new team members and leveling their teams along the way. Innovative choices like using skill stones over classes, or setting time limits for each battle give Jeanne Dark a playstyle all its own, while the anime presentation and swift yet complex battles do their part to hoist it above others in the genre. Castlevania, the Dracula X Chronicles is a 2.5D remake of the legendary 1993 PC engine titled Dracula X, Rondo of Blood, which, for a long time, was totally exclusive to Japan. The core game is retooled drastically, with the anime art style of the original being replaced by Ayami Kojima's more mature designs. While the new visuals arguably haven't aged as well as the 2D graphics of the PC Engine version, it's still well worth a play, and even if you don't fancy the remake, the fact that Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night are included as unlockable extras makes this an essential purchase for Castlevania fans and followers of the action-adventure genre in general. What you do in this bizarre, PSP-exclusive series is hard to describe without using the word Patapon itself. It's a game that marches to the beat of its own drum, borrowing notes of the rhythm game genre to compose a unique tune all its own. It's like Lemmings meets Elite Beat Agents, or Loco Roco meets Donkey Konga. See? Hard. With Patapon 3, the developer Pyramid perfects its formula. Once again, the game challenges you to lead an army of Patapons to victory against the 7 evil archfiends by tapping out drum beats to control their actions. The controls are more intuitive, the visuals are more varied, and the multiplayer adds a whole new dimension to the Patapon's quest. It's a sequel that layers improvements on top of nearly every aspect of the game without missing a beat. And that just about concludes our best PSP games list. Remember, this article is designed to update and evolve over time, and it relies on your ratings, so if you're not happy with the order, be sure to do something about it by submitting your votes using the search box on the first page. Alternatively, if you think there's a game missing from our PSP games database, then be sure to let us know. Got a minute? How about half? Good, because that's all the time you get to save the whole dang world. Developed by Marvelous Entertainment, Half Minute Hero turns standard RPG conventions on their head by holding players to a 30-second time limit in which they must battle fiends and build up their powers in order to save the world. Luckily, that timer can be reset, and the fun comes in using each Groundhog Day scenario to push forward towards greater enemies, acquire better gear, and become generally better at kicking ass in 30 seconds or less. Half Minute Hero is a game that tries its damnedest to defy categorization, but you won't have time to care what it is. So, did you like the games I recommended? So leave your like, subscribe to the channel to follow me, and activate the bell because I post a lot of videos on this channel and you can't miss it. Thank you very much for following me this far, and until next time, bye.